It's Tuesday, January 21, and we're already into the third week of the year. We hope you're making good progress on your goals. Hello there. Welcome to this edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. Coming up, we'll take a look back at the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining Year in Review. Do stay with us. We'll be right back after this break.
As we look at the seventh decade of our political independence, I want us to understand that political independence means nothing until we can solidify and make sure sustainably we are economically independent.
Join us on this station Wednesday, January 22, as we review the last year in the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, January 21, 2025. More than 13,000 residents from Green Pond and surrounding communities in St. James are accessing primary health care in more spacious and comfortable surroundings. This follows the official reopening of the Green Pond Health Center, which was renovated under the government's Operation Refresh initiative at a cost of $30 million. It included expansion of the building to provide air-conditioned medical records and consultation rooms, enclosing the main waiting area and erecting perimeter fencing. The health center provides maternal and child health care, as well as wound care and dressing services to residents of Green Pond, Farm Heights, Portobello Mews, and Cornwall Courts. It's the 13th health center in St. James to benefit from improvement works under Operation Refresh, which has a target of revitalizing 325 such facilities island-wide. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says it's all part of providing a space that encourages more people to access preventative health care services at the community level.
Our physical facilities must be in a better condition. They have to look healthy. They have to look the part, play the part, as we encourage the community to get more involved. We are basically bringing greater credibility to healthcare at the community level.
Additional improvements at the Green Pond Health Center will include an on-site pharmacy and increased access to medical doctors who will provide services from Mondays to Fridays. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness is assuring Jamaicans that the government has instituted robust checks and balances to ensure transparency and accountability in the new social housing program, NSHP. He points to a legislative framework underpinning the NSHP, which highlights the role of the Ministry of Housing and the Housing Act.
The Housing Act essentially directs the Minister of Housing to hold and use lands in such a way as to provide housing either commercially or socially for persons who are in need. And it requires that the minister, in exercising the duty under the law, particularly as it relates to social housing, that the minister does an assessment. So we don't provide a benefit without first assessing the need and the beneficiary.
Dr. Holness was speaking on Friday as he delivered several NSHP units in St. James. Addressing concerns regarding the program's adjudication process, the Prime Minister says there is a system in place to assess the needs and reinforce the NSHP's fairness and equity.
We have managed to build a public bureaucracy to deliver this kind of benefit in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. And it has done very well. We have now delivered over 300 units, and we intend to expand the rate of delivery. And we have done so without any hint of any misallocation, misappropriation, without any form of corruption.
8 schools have been successfully integrated into the government's Financial Management Information System, GFMIS, marking a significant step in improving financial oversight within the education sector. These schools were among 50 selected to participate in a pilot project, which included training and connectivity support. To date, 194 school personnel and 14 regional financial and ICT staff have been trained on the new system. The GFMIS integration is aimed at strengthening financial oversight in education. Permanent Secretary in the Education Ministry, Dr. Casson Troop, says it's expected to reduce the financial accountability burden on school principals, particularly at the primary level.
Right now, the principals, especially at our primary school, 766 of them, they have to account for the financial resources. And as Dr. Stokes alluded to, we have to remove that from them so they can function as instructional leaders in the true sense of that word.
Dr. Troop was addressing a recent press conference hosted by the Education Transformation Oversight Committee at the UWI regional headquarters in St. Andrew. Government Senator Dr. Sapphire Longmore is advocating for stronger safeguards to protect young people in their online activities. Her call comes in response to the increasing online consumption among adolescents. She's urging parents and guardians to establish clear guidelines to ensure their children navigate the digital space responsibly. Dr. Longmore made these remarks during her contribution to the 2024-2025 State of the Nation debate in the Senate on Friday. The senator highlighted data that reveals a notable shift in traditional social behavior among Jamaican teenagers, mirroring trends observed in countries such as the United States.
I want us to recognize that one of the reasons the kids are not drinking or using substances as much is because they're not socializing as much. They are actually being asocial because of the consumption online. And there's a lot of kids out there who are actually quite lonely.
Dr. Longmore told the upper house that this was among the reasons that several countries had banned the use of social media by children under 16 years.
I'm not saying that we must consider these extremes, but we must find a balance. And what I'm saying to us is that we must also remember as parents to guide our children in the virtual space.
Over 600 positions available in various health facilities island-wide will be showcased at the Ministry of Health and Wellness inaugural Career Expo and Employment Fair. It's being staged in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information at the Confucius Institute of the University of the West Indies Mona campus on January 22 and 23. The event aims to expose high school and university students as well as the general public to diverse career opportunities within the health sector. Attendees are encouraged to bring printed copies of their resumes for on-the-spot interviews between 9 a.m. and noon and 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. both days. And finally, as the country observes Earthquake Awareness Month, the Earthquake Unit at the University of the West Indies is reporting that 2024 was a year of significant seismic activity. Speaking at a recent JIS think tank, head and research fellow at the unit, Kevin Tanku, revealed that 600 earthquakes were recorded.
These include around 310 located local earthquakes, 19 felt earthquakes, which included earthquakes that occurred locally as well as in the near region.
The strongest earthquake recorded locally last year had a magnitude of 5.2.
This was felt across the island in different parishes. Of course, this sort of followed the event that we had in the Blue Mountain Block in 2023, that larger earthquake, the magnitude 5.6. And a lot of these local figures that we get both in 2023 and 2024 is as a result of the aftershocks following the larger events.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
2024 was a year of progress and commitment to the growth of agriculture, fisheries and mining in Jamaica. The ministry at the heart of this worked on advancing reforms, improving access to resources and empowering communities through outreach programs. Let's take a look at some of the key highlights from the year just ended.
We are going to be training you and giving you some packages so you can adequately manage your goods. Today we are here to hand over a recently procured 5,000 gallon water truck, which is a significant investment of over $15 million. Today, we are launching our Quarry Cup mobile application. We will be doing a lot of distribution of care packages, water, just to ensure that the residents are better off as we ride out and as we start this recovery effort. Today I'm pleased to announce that to drive the immediate recovery of the sector, we will be allocating $700 million to provide various forms of short-term assistance. This initial tranche will be used to purchase critical items urgently needed. Today, as a part of Dembe, 400 farmers will get direct support from the Ministry of Agriculture. Today, as you have heard, in this White House area, we're going to do vouchers for about 109 fishermen and women. Then we're going to go over to Scott's Cove and we're going to do another 40 fishermen and women. We're going to be spending $120 million to procure about 2,000 small irrigation kits, drip irrigation kits that we look to distribute in the first quarter.
We lose focus on our health. So let's stop and take a moment to understand the cardiovascular complications of diabetes and how to treat this particular health threat.
Diabetes is a common illness. Most of us may be aware of its various complications, such as diabetic retinopathy and neuropathy, diabetic kidney disease, and so on. But when it comes to deaths caused from diabetes, cardiovascular complications account for the majority. Diabetes is recognized as one of 4 major factors for developing cardiovascular disease, the others being hypertension, obesity, and cigarette smoking.
About 68% of persons over the age of 65, and this is data now from the American Heart Association, 65% of persons over the age of 65 who have diabetes will die from heart disease, and about another 16% will die of stroke. In a nutshell, what generally happens is that diabetic persons have a more rapid rate at which fat and cholesterol is deposited in the arterial system. So we all have that. It's considered part of the process of aging. Fat and cholesterol is being laid down in our arteries. However, diabetic persons tend to have that happen at a more rapid rate. Okay? And as a result of that, what tends to happen is that diabetic persons will progress to a point where they have compromised vessels. So in other words, the lumen, the diameter of the vessel, is narrowed, the flow of blood is limited.
And as the heart muscles become starved of blood, various acids accumulate and persons will tend to experience what is called angina, or a type of chest pain.
You may get complete blockage of the vessel, which may now result in what is called a heart attack.
Heart tissues are not meant to function in an environment where the blood sugar level is elevated. And so, another incidence of diabetic cardiovascular complication results where high blood sugar levels in persons who are diabetic becomes directly toxic to heart cells. This impairs the ability of blood vessels to open normally under conditions of stress, such as exercise, and also causes inflammation and impaired clotting of the blood.
So if they're chronically exposed to those levels of elevated blood sugars, then there are biochemical consequences. There's weakness of the heart muscle, and patients, many of them, go on to developing heart failure and so on.
As with every illness, early detection and prevention is key to having good health.
It would be good every year for every person to be checked. If you're diabetic, you would have been told how often you need to check your blood sugar by your health professional. But if you're just doing checks and you're healthy otherwise, then at least once a year to check your cholesterol, your sugar, your blood pressure, do your ECG to see if there is any abnormality in the heart.
The treatment of cardiovascular disease in diabetic patients is more holistic, involving lifestyle changes to include diet, exercise, and maintaining a healthy weight.
In a nutshell, we advocate for, eating primarily fruits and vegetables, things like whole grains and nuts, limiting one's intake of fast foods, foods with high fat content, high cholesterol, salt, and so on, and portion size management as well.
More unprocessed foods, less of the very refined high sugar foods. So there are those foods that are obviously very high in sugar. So the typical recommendation, if you look at a plate, half of the plate should be more plant-based foods, leafy vegetables, and some fruit.
In general, 150 minutes minimum per week of moderate exercise such as swimming, brisk walking, jogging, or cycling is recommended. Besides the lifestyle changes, clinical treatment through prescription drugs and surgical procedures is an important element in caring for persons with cardiovascular complications of diabetes.
We have medications to address symptoms. We have medications to prolong life. and that forms an important part of the approach. There are a variety of procedures which diabetic patients and other non-diabetic patients may qualify for, or it may be necessary to pursue. So we speak of things like stenting, for example, coronary artery bypass grafting, which is, of course, open heart surgery, major surgery. Diabetic patients we have a lower threshold for referring diabetics for that kind of procedure just because of the severity of their disease.
Medications developed primarily for use by diabetic patients have been shown to have significant cardiovascular benefits as they reduce the risk of death and complications related to cardiovascular disease in diabetic patients. But with most of them still under patent, access is quite costly. Your best treatment option is to adopt healthy lifestyle practices that make you less prone to developing diabetes or cardiovascular disease.
It's never too late to try something new, like cooking. Here's how the Heart NST Trust is opening its doors to persons to obtain a skill in the culinary arts.
Tourism and agriculture have been like Siamese twins from day one. 88% of the world travels for food experiences. And that 42% of the expenditure of all the visitors over the world is on food.
It's for reasons such as this that the Ebony Park Heart Academy has been invested in producing top-class chefs and entrepreneurs to fill industry demands.
What Heart is doing for students is that we are empowering our students. We want them to not just get a skill, but get the skill and make it useful. Open up their own business, have an entrepreneurship mind where you don't normally just have to work for people. We want to target everybody, those that are not doing anything, those that are at home not doing anything, those that feel like, boy, I'm too old and I really can't go back to school. We are for everybody. I want to target everybody in Jamaica because we want to empower our nation. And this is where it starts. We offer a wide variety of hospitality courses such as commercial food preparation, level 2, food and beverage service, level 3. But for this one now that we are focusing on today is the commercial food preparation level 2, where they learn a variety of things. They learn from pastries and to savory cooking. We actually have our own farm where we produce most of the items that we use. The pepper, we have our agro-processing units that gather the food and they process it and bottle it, and we use those products. So we don't normally buy a lot of produce out there on the street because we have our own processing unit, our own farm, our own crops, produce, everything.
Meet Amaria Bryan, a commercial food preparation student at the Ebony Park Heart Academy. At the 67th staging of the Denby Agricultural Industrial Food Show, Amaria showed off what Heart is teaching him with a scrumptious meal of chicken pasta stir-fry.
I do on-the-job training. So basically for a year, I work at the Ebony Park training restaurant meanwhile I am training. So there are days when I have to go in the kitchen to cook for people who are buying food at the restaurant. And we have to do this to get received to attain our grade. And based off our performance, we are graded, and then based off that, we get our certificate. What we did, we add a little twist to it and add an Alfredo sauce. So we basically just build a new recipe on spot, and we just call it chicken Alfredo. And in this, we have sweet pepper of different colors. We have ginger, we have salt, we have a little pinch of salt. We have basically what we was aiming for, we wanted to go natural, so we had no powder seasons. And we had two different types of cheese. We have mozzarella, which give it the body, and we had pepper jack cheese, which give it the flavor and give it a little spiciness. And we had sweet corns, we had blanched carrots, Yes, and we have a little clove to give it a little kick. And basically, those are the main ingredients in the pasta. And we just add a little bit of brandy to bring out the flavor in the chicken breast and to basically give it the flambe, the fire effect. That's what we did. And this dish can be prepared in about 5 to 7 minutes. Basically, I have to give the chicken breast time to cook, and the chicken breast cook very quickly. I just recently completed level 2, and I'm actually doing voluntary service here at Denby. And what I plan to do, I plan to do level 3. That's the supervisory level, chef de partie, under the same commercial food preparation. And after I finish that, I plan to work in the hotel, get some experience, but my ultimate goal is to work on the cruise ship. And then in the Burj Khalifa at Dubai. Heart has created basically what we call a workforce database where they invest in their trainees, and then they produce them out into the workforce, and they basically have a lot of jobs waiting for us. So once a lot of hotels here at Ebony Park, then they want to take us. Some of them don't even want to interview you. They just want to know you're coming from Ebony Park, and then they just grab it because they know Ebony Park produces the best trainees, the best chefs you can find in Jamaica and on the cruise ship.
Students have worked in our major hotels in Jamaica. Even though I have students at the Rio Hotel, I have students at Sandals, I have students at Hilton. They're all over the place. I have students who are overseas now, who are in the hospitality area, and most of them are chefs. That's what they do, that's what they love, so they just go there. The sky's the limit for them, and they just want to do more, they want to learn more. So even though we teach them here, they always have a passion to know more about this foods, because it's so wide, it's so fun. I don't even know what to tell you, but it's a whole lot in one little package that you can get so much from.
If you want to grab your piece of the pie, but you're scared because you have no certifications in the subject area, don't worry. A mathematics and English entry test are available to process your application. So ask yourself this: what exactly is stopping you from starting your journey?
And that's it for today's edition of Jamaica Magazine. Remember, nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood. Do join us again tomorrow for another informative show. Remember to visit our website, gis.gov.jm, for more news you can use. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Stay safe.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.